this kid out here going off from New York, man. He straight bugging, B.
Hello?
Yeah, why you going off from New York, man?
I'm sorry, who is this?
We ain't gonna worry about all that. We ain't worried about all that. Why you going off on New York?
Well, first of all, calm your ass down. You need to tell me what this is about, or I'm gonna hang up on your ass.
Alright, man. I ain't trying to be disrespectful, fam. I'm just letting you know, man. We from New York, man. We show you mad love out here, man. All 5 boroughs, you know what I mean? We showing you mad love. Pause. But you out here going off from New York, man. Word to strength, man. Why you do that, man? We got your back out here. Pause. We gotta stick together. Pause. We showing you mad love. Pause. But you out here going off from New York, man. Why you do that?
Well, first of all, how much of the video did you watch?
Man, I seen about 5 minutes of them shits, man. I ain't need to see no more, man. I couldn't take it no more, man. I was like, he out here going crazy out here. He going crazy out here on New York, man. All this love will be showing you. Pause. I got the boroughs with me. I got all 5 boroughs on my back. Pause. But we out here showing you mad love, B. But you out here doing that, man. I seen about 5 minutes of them shits, man. That's all I had to see, man.
Hey, listen, man. Don't be calling my house with this nonsense. First of all, how the hell did you get this number? Listen, go look at the actual video, and then you will understand that I wasn't even talking negatively about New York. I was showing you love. I was just comparing you, uh, how you relate to certain groups like the Puerto Ricans compared to where I'm from. That's what I said.
No. Forget all that. Forget all that. Keep New York out your motherfucking mouth. You heard?
Wait a minute, well, what you say?
I said keep New York out your motherfucking mouth.
Look, man, I ain't got time for this bullshit, man. Get the hell off my phone. Man, what the hell wrong with people these days? This is crazy.
A few minutes later.
Man, is this you again?
Koley, and I'm back.
Yeah, man. Hold up, man. Just hear me out, man. I want to apologize, man.
All right, you got 2 minutes.
All right, word is born. Word is born, man. I just want to say, man, you right, man. You was right, man. I listened to the video, man. I was bugging, B. I was bugging. I was like, he was showing mad love to New York. Pause. You know what I mean? So I was like, you know what I mean? I gotta be the bigger man. Word is born. Word to the strength, man. You were showing mad love to New York, and I apologize, man. You good, baby. You back. Your past is reinstated, man. You can come to the New York, man. You can come to all 5 boroughs. You know what I mean? We got you, baby.
All right.
Yeah. So you good. You good. But you know, I gotta say, man, you was going in on the Puerto Ricans though.
Oh, so are you Puerto Rican?
Nah. But I'm from the BX, man. I'm from the boogie, man. I'm from the boogie down Bronx. But you know what I mean? My girl, you know what I mean? My earth, my wife, you know what I mean? She Puerto Rican and all that. You heard?
Oh, okay. Now it makes sense.
Yeah. So you know what I mean? She Puerto Rican and all that.
Oh, okay. So what is she, a Afro Latina, Afro Puerto Rican, or?
No. We don't do that peasy stuff, man. No. She ain't got no afro, man. No. She got the, you know what I mean? She got the J Lo, blonde joints. You know what I mean? Going down her back. You know what I mean? She got it's kind of wavy. You know what I mean? With the blonde joints going down, cause going down to the booty. You know what I mean? Cause she got a fat ass. You know what I mean? So cause the hair follicle. You know what I mean? They be rubbing up against the booty meat. You heard?
Or against the booty meat, huh?
Yeah. So yeah. But we don't do that peasy stuff, man. We don't do all that. We don't do that. You know what I mean? Because that's that Keisha stuff. Because Keisha, you know what I mean? It's her fault that our hair is even kinky. Our hair don't supposed to be kinky like this, man. Because if you look at your eyebrows, right? You look at your eyebrows, and then you look at your eyelashes, them shit straight, man. But because of the curse, because if you go to the book of Deuteronomy, right? Deuteronomy chapter 2.
I'm sorry, did you say Deuteronomy?
Yeah. Deuteronomy. It shows you with Keisha, when she was going off, she got a curse, and you know what I mean? That was handed down to us. But to be honest, my hair, it really ain't all that kinky like that, because on my father's left hand side, once removed, we you know what I mean? We got some Cherokee up in there, so my hair don't be peasy like that. But you know, every once in a while with the humidity, you know, sometimes it get kind of peasy and kinky like that. But you know what I mean? All we got to do is, you know what I mean? We sometimes we just get the baby oil, right? Because you know, up in New York, we love the baby oil.
So I've heard.
Yeah. So we put the baby oil up in there, and then them shits be, you know, be slicked out. You know, I be looking like Nat King Cole around this motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So you know what I mean? So in our little daughter, you know, she got the baby hairs, right? So the baby hairs be on the side of her head all curled up. You feel me? So we don't do all that, man. That's that Keisha joint. See, that's why Keisha, you know what I mean? She gotta spend billions of dollars for her hair to be straight, because she know that was her fault, because her hair don't supposed to be peasy like that. But because she was going off, you know what I mean? She got that curse, right? So the rest of us, you know what I mean? So we good. But Keisha, you know, that's her fault.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, man, just keep doing what you do, man. You know what I mean? Just keep your boot on Keisha's neck, man, because it's her fault, man. You heard?
We got the riggedy Rex in my rickshaw. The one A plus in my rickshaw. Riggedy monk in my rickshaw. The girl shake your rum, I rickshaw.
It's time to wreck shop, so I wrecked it. Yes, you know the wreck shit. One to the two to the chicken. Dropping mad styles, then I'm outie 550. Rappers try to front, but they can't get with me. Took a little break, and some suckers try to diss me. Posse too deep, if you beat, then it's risky. Swinging mad hard, so the ducks better duck. The Miggity Monk is buck, and I don't give a get it? Send a big shout to my critics. That's on the streets, cause you're pumping in your Jeeps. Peace to my skins when I'm in, you know you please me. Pump the third leg like a nigga, I'm over easy. I really can't stand when I act cheesy, sleazy. My flow is so cool that it's breezy. I act like Jodeci and maybe stay a little while. But my 60 bars is up and dog and shit is not my style.
We got the riggedy Rex in my rickshaw. The one A plus in my rickshaw. Miggity monk in my rickshaw. The one Teddy Rally in my rickshaw. The one brother load in my rickshaw. The one corner block of me a rickshaw. The one block street, the rickshaw. Girl shake your rum, a rickshaw.
Yo, I grab the mic, strike, then hit the lyrics at the head of the microphone, cause I'm A+. I pop more sugar than a crossover pigeon, then back it up like for mine, cause I'm good at going for mine. It only takes 1 minute to get into the groove and wreck shop, because the Miggity Mark and Plus got style. The Miggity get busy, then they get busy. See, we gets busy so easy, they tossing it up like a frisbee. You're so soft, even when in the ball, when you strike from a throw, your lyrics fully polished. No, oh, it's the plus, the boy, I'm out to bust ya. Boom, bash, take the cash, bet you'll have your fun in Russia. Ain't nothing raggedy about the rest, nothing raggedy about the next single either. Sit on your flex, cruise who front, watch it out, you'll get smushed. Even if you sing like a bee, you'll get smushed. Don't bother stepping to me, you'll get smushed. Even if you're strong as a drug signal, because you'll get pushed. I grab a pen, then mentally take flight, starting to write, spreading the butter, flowing it like a nut. I get into ill still, simply because the kill bills, lyrical thrills, dropping enough skills from reels to reels. Then when the sound spills into your ear, the beat kills your last favorite, while the rougher rhymes are giving you
We got
chills.
the riggedy Rex in my rickshaw. The one A plus in my rickshaw. Miggity monk in my rickshaw. The one Teddy Rally in my rickshaw. The one brother load
Yeah, we back in the house. I'd like to welcome you all to another exciting episode of the Night Riders Squad Cast. The best kept secret on the internet. Yes. You know how we do over here. As per usual, we're going to get it cracking. And yeah, like I told you guys before, I know it's been a while, but I told you I'm in the midst of doing some very important things, preparing for some travels this summer, moving some things around, looking at some properties, just doing what I do. But I did want to hit you guys with a video here at the beginning of the month, so you are welcome in advance. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed the opening skit. It was very fun to make, although there is a lot of truth said in jest. And like I said in the previous video, a lot of you guys are out here, caping for Becky. It's something that I like to call, I'm going to coin this term, Beckyism. So a lot of you guys suffer from Beckyism. You're the male equivalent of the female divestors and the swirlers, right? So even though a lot of you guys fancy yourself as being different, but it's all good. Like I said, I don't have a problem with who you guys choose or nothing like that. I say what I say for a very specific and strategic reason. I don't cape for Keisha. I ain't got nothing to do with none of that. This is an anti-propaganda channel. So, we give Keisha the business. We give Becky the business. Brad, we don't care who it is. If they're putting out propaganda against our collective image, that's what we deal with. Now, when it comes to the reason that I don't say that it's all of the Keishas, in addition to the other reasons that I told you in the previous video, so you need to go check those out if you have not seen them. But I'm going to give you a couple other reasons that you probably heard nowhere else, but I'm going to break them down real quick before we get into this topic. One of the reasons that I tell black men to be more strategic and specific and not to try to claim it's 100% of anybody, whether it's good or bad. Don't think that 100% of Becky's are good or that 100% of Keisha's are good or bad, right? But one of the reasons I say this is because when you talk about them as a collective, and with them I mean the black women, aka the Keishas, right? You got to understand something. When I talk about their behavior, it's with regard to it's talking about from a sociological standpoint, not a biological standpoint. I'm talking about the culture, how they were raised, their poor choices. They're embracing feminism, something that our mothers and grandmothers didn't do, right? So when you guys keep trying to make this argument that somehow it's 100% of them, there's two main things that you're overlooking. Number one, there are still a number of black men who are responsible for their daughters, and they are raising them into the proper type of women that we all are saying that these women need to be, right? So some of you saying Negroes are the ones that would be quoting the CDC and all these other studies that we've ad nauseum put out on this channel. You'll be talking about how black men make the best single parents, right? But have you ever stopped to think that some of those men are raising daughters? So when you say that it's 100% of these women, you're throwing the black men under the bus too, inadvertently, because you're claiming that even the daughters that they raise are no good. So in effect, you are essentially throwing black men under the bus when you claim it it's 100%. Yeah, I know you guys ain't never thought of that, but that's an angle that you guys are overlooking when you do this. And again, I don't do this to cape for Keisha. I do this also to protect black men's image, because some of these black men are raising daughters, and not just currently, but also in the past. Some of these women out here that are halfway decent, and we know it's a very small minority, but the point of the matter is it still exists. And a lot of that can be attributed to the black men that raised them. And when you throw them all under the bus like that, then you're also throwing them under the bus. Now, the other side of the coin, when you try to make the genetic argument, because I already asked you, Negroes, if you're saying it's all of them, then is that a genetic issue or is it a sociological issue? Is it nature or nurture, right? Because if you say it's biological and it's genetic, then what you Negroes don't understand is that you get at least half of your genetics from black women if you got two black parents. So this was so ridiculous. And some of us who come from good families like me, I know 3 generations of the women who helped raise me, in addition to all the great men that I had. You know, I know who my father is. I had my father in my life, my grandfather, you know, all of that. And the women that married them, my mother's grandmother and great grandmother, I knew them all. And these were great women. So for the ones of you who claim that somehow this is a genetic thing, or even if you don't articulate it like that, you're acting as though it is, you do know that you get at least half of your genetics from the women. So if you're saying that it's a genetic and it's these Keishas, you know, they're just bad, you know, through and through, then that would reflect on you too, because you are part of them. That's what's so ridiculous. And that's why I don't waste my time. And I don't call out particular individuals. So I know I got people, you know, sending me messages and stuff like that. But I try to keep the peace. You know, most of these guys out here, I mean, I could dissect most of their arguments, but I try to keep the peace. Because even when you try to give black men constructive criticism, they think you're going at them. They think you're trying to diss them. And it's already a lot of, you know, stuff going back and forth. How in that opening skit, I try to show how people take things out of context and they want to make an argument out of it, right? So the bottom line is, I know this is a subject for another video, but I don't have to go back and forth about this, because at the end of the day, I'm just doing this as a service and to help the game, because I don't even have to deal with none of this stuff. I don't live in the States. You know, I've already been there, done that. I served my time. You know, I'm enjoying my life. But at the end of the day, I do know that there's a lot of ignorance out there. And that's a subject for another video. But yeah, you guys just need to, you know, tighten it up. It's not because of somebody, you know, trying to micromanage your choices or anything like that. You just got to be strategic. You can't think like them. See, that's their mentality. You know, the divestors and the swirlers, they're the ones that want to throw all black men under the bus, acting as if, you know, there's none of you that are good. And if you guys do the same thing, then you're no better than them. And as men, we're supposed to move differently. We're supposed to be more logical. But anyway, I'm gonna stop that right there, because like I said, that's not the subject of tonight's video. Now, let's get into this topic, right? Now, you've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the title, and, you know, I thought we were done talking about little Miss Koley, but apparently she's back, right? I mean, I didn't even know she was still out here making videos, and shout out to her, you know, she's back.
And I'm back.
So she's out here now, and she's, you know, she did the big chop, you know, looks like she cut her hair. You know how a lot of these women do. She kind of cut her hair off or down, and she got rid of the hat, you know, so I can't call her the Mad Hatter anymore. And she, you know, I haven't seen the little cat in her videos, but you know, it's pretty interesting, because I didn't even know she was still making videos. It was coming up on the feed, and apparently, like I said, she's back with a vengeance insofar as she's now kind of reinvented herself. And for what I've seen in the little bit of research I've done, because again, I just kind of recently became aware of this, but she's now hosting these, I guess they're TikTok lives. I'm not sure exactly where she's doing lives from. It looks like she's uploading them on YouTube, but I think they're coming from TikTok. And it's pretty interesting, because she's talking about the dynamic between the British blacks, you know, whether they're Caribbean or West African. And she's kind of framing things with regard to how I guess the West Africans are being disrespectful to the Caribbeans and so forth and so on. Now, a lot of people might be confusing this with the FBA thing, right? But the bottom line is, I don't think that she's trying to copy off the FBA thing. I think that she is making a valid point with regard to the dynamic going on between the Caribbean and the West African blacks. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, not only because I've addressed her before, when I was interacting, dealing with that topic when we were going in on the Joker, aka EU, and how this, we were talking about the subject of hair. And I think that was the first video. I think I did a couple of videos on her, but we did a video about hair. And I noticed that, she definitely took some talking points from some of the things that I was saying, and that's okay. I know my channel is pretty influential, and I used to get kind of annoyed when people would take certain phrases and talking points. But to me, it's just the same. It goes across the board. I got very big YouTubers, big and small, just taking talking points, but that's just par for the course. As per usual. Ain't that right, Koley?
As per usual.
So she took my little as per usual. She even got it on her new little channel.
Into the main topic, as per usual, right?
Okay, yeah, she always gives that little smile when she says it because she knows she got it from me over here. But that's cool. It's kind of cute. She can have my little phrase and a couple of little talking points. But the bottom line is, I don't have anything against Koley. I'm going to dissect a few things tonight that I think are very pertinent to some of the points that I've made in the past. And I'm using this as a learning example and to give people some insight as to why this whole dynamic between, whether it's Caribbean blacks from America, West Africa, why a lot of this is much to do about nothing. And I'm going to break this down. If you look at the videos that I did on the diaspora war, you need to go check those out if you haven't seen them. I did a part 1 and part 2. I kind of broke down this already, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper. And like I said, when it comes to this little live show that she's doing, and shout out to her. I think she's found her voice. She's apparently, making some traction with it. Again, it just came up on my feed. I didn't even know she was still making videos. Last time I checked, I thought she was maybe going to Twitch or something. I saw that in one of her videos about a year ago. But anyway, apparently, again, she's maybe on TikTok. But I'm going to get into some of these conversations that she's been having, and we're going to take some time and dissect it a little bit, and then I'm going to give some historic context, because a lot of these people who are making these comments, they really don't know enough about history, and a lot of the things that Koley is addressing is pretty much trolling. And what's so ironic is she's spending a lot of time and energy talking about the trolling, when in fact the people that are controlling Jamaica and large parts of the Caribbean are a lot of these non-blacks. But when you see these type of ridiculous conversations, whether they're this FBA clown show that's going on, and again, I try to steer clear of going in on particular individuals because I know how I am, and I ain't got time to really put in the work on these people the way I want to, like Tariq Nasheed and so forth. And there's specific reasons why I hadn't been going in on him. One of them is he's got some roots in Alabama, and I try to go easy on the people from Alabama. That's where both sides of my family are from. I was born and raised in Chicago, as you guys know, but I got roots in Alabama. So I try to give grace to people from Alabama, but he's really pushing it because, as you guys know, he's copied a lot of my style over here. Some of the, the way I title videos, some of my production and so forth. But again, there's so many things I could dissect about him, but at some point in the future I might. But I've been kind of, going easy because there's already enough people going in on Tyreek, so I didn't need to jump on the bandwagon with that. But he put out a lot of foolery, right? But the bottom line is you have these people who are making so much of a thing about these intra-racial issues when in fact this is stuff that needs to be talked about in a whole different spirit. There's no reason for there to be hostility, right? There are specific differences that we have that are cultural, but the overarching issues, whether they're social or economic, has to do with the exploitation that's going on from these other groups. And Jamaica is a classic example of that, and I'm going to show you some of that shortly. But let's get into some of these clips, and I may have to make this an ongoing series because I don't want this video to be too long because I got some other things to do. But I did want to at least put you guys on notice that I am aware of the fact that, like I said, Koley is apparently back. So.
Koley and I'm back.
And again,
Koley and I'm back.
I can't call her the Mad Hatter anymore because she looks like she ditched the hat and, she don't have her little cat in the background no more. So I got to come up with a new name for her. But anywho, let's go ahead and get into some of these conversations that she's been having. Now, one of the things I want to do is set the tone in terms of why she's doing this. And the reason why I titled the video the way I did is because in one of my videos where I addressed her, I told her that she needed to take a DNA test because the Caribbean, or Jamaica specifically, is what I call a miscegenation zone, right? And a lot of people conflate Caribbean or Jamaican specifically with being black, when in actuality, you have the native Carib Indians, and that's where you get the term Caribbean. You have the Arawak, and you had the Taino, and you also had obviously the Africans that were imported there. You had Europeans. You later had Indians that came over as labor, as well as Chinese. So when you get a certain phenotype from Jamaica, for example, you're going to notice that there's a lot of mixture, right? So in the case of Koley, she fancied herself initially as a Pan-Africanist until she was othered by unambiguous black women. And the reason why, or one of the reasons why I talk about this topic, is because the self-hate that has been ingested by unambiguous black women and how they propagated it, it's not a victimless crime, because they are at the core of what's been going on with regard to the collective lack of esteem that a lot of black people have. And Koley was an inadvertent victim because they othered her because of her hair texture and because of her features. I'm going to show you a video that she did where she was talking about this. She's going to make it very clear in this. This is one of her older videos in terms of why she felt as though she was not accepted as being a regular black person. Watch this.
I didn't think I was different. It's unambiguous dark-skinned women that told me I was different.
Okay, so there you go. That summarizes what happened. So if you look at her features, obviously there's some admixture there. And again, I don't think that this needs to be a point of contention where people are arguing and fighting. And I think that if women with West African features had more esteem and they had embraced, whether it be their own hair texture, their complexions, their features in a way that us as black men have, then there would not be this type of need to try to denigrate someone like her. Because she's going to go into it. She's going to say how they were talking about her nose, talking about her hair. Yeah, maybe I should stop trying to emulate her British accent, but it's kind of funny to me. But anyway, she's going to go into why she's taking the position. And this tells you kind of everything you need to know in terms of why she's doing what she's doing right now. So let's get it.
with every eye roll, with every, oh, you just think you're better than me, you think you're better than us, with every reference to me wanting to be white.
Okay, so she's saying that they told her she wanted to be white just because of her phenotype, which is ridiculous. And again, that speaks to the fact that these women had a lot of insecurity and they were projecting and doing a lot of the things that caused people like her to get pushed, to feel other. And again, the proper way that this stuff needs to be handled is that you need to certainly embrace your own phenotype. And if someone like her comes around, you don't have to be rude to them, but just say, hey, we come from a specific genetic background. And, when we have conversations, whether it be about colorism and featureism, texturism, or whatever, we don't feel that you necessarily fit in with this conversation. So, and then they could ask her, do you have any, what's your background? What's your, do you have admixture or something like that? And it could be a point of conversation, as opposed to them just treating her the way they did, that kind of prompted her to take this position. But let's get a little bit more.
With every reference to my hair.
See, they was up there talking about her hair.
And what my hair looks like, and is it real? Is it fake? Is it real? Is it fake? It's unambiguous dark-skinned women that did that, not the exotical space. So please miss me with that. When a woman who is a darker skin tone, who has a more ambiguous phenotype, or a phenotype that's not traditionally associated with the West African phenotype, a phenotype that people love to say is a European standard of beauty. When we go to share our experiences, right, our negative experiences, we get shut down and told that we want to be different, that we want to be othered, that we want to, in my case, want to be white.
Okay, so all this stems from the fact that these women don't have enough esteem to themselves to where they could accept people who are different in a conversation without, going there, right? And that's the whole reason why I authored the 80% 2x4 rule, so that we can have a clear distinction. Because the bottom line is, a lot of this comes from a scarcity mentality. It's just like if you are doing well, right? If you are doing well, you don't care what nobody else has. But a lot of these people who are always insecure or feeling bad about what other people get or what other people have, they have a scarcity mentality. They think what someone else gets takes away from them. So what do? They try to dump on that. So if these women feel good about themselves, whoever these women are, and again, obviously this doesn't apply to every black woman of West African, features, because I've seen some women who are very beautiful and they own it, right? They love their features, they love their hair and all of that. But obviously the women that she was in contact with didn't feel that way, and they looked at her as some type of standard to which they obviously wanted their hair to be straight. They wanted their features to be more keen or what have you. And that creates this problem. Whereas if they had more self-esteem, then they wouldn't have a need to even treat her like that. But I just want to kind of give you the anatomy in terms of where this is coming from. Let's go.
There's this attempt to make women who are darker skinned but have an ambiguous phenotype, whether that's cleaner features or loosely textured hair, there's an attempt to remind them that they're black, or to make them feel othered. Okay, not that those women are trying to other themselves, but that they are being othered because of their experience at the hands of unambiguous darker skinned women. It is black women that play a part in perpetuating this nonsense.
Okay, now that's what we've been saying over here, but when we start pointing this out, then it's like, oh, you hate black women. No, the reason why, and I've been talking about this for years, is because this is what permeates throughout the black community, and this is the genesis of a lot of the problems that are going on, the self-hate that's going on with the children, the violence, all of that stems from the fact that you got a group of women who have not fully embraced who they are. They are outsourcing their own beauty standard, and this is the negative consequence of that. But let's get a little bit more.
And so as far as featureism goes and texturism goes, these are all learned behaviors that are perpetuated by Black women in the community, and a lot of the time it's unambiguous Black women. What's good, paintings? So Exoticals United.
Oh no, not that one. So you unambiguous Black women, because you've othered her so bad that she then went over to the Joker side. She's out here listening to the Joker, this right here, and you know we've dealt with her ad nauseum. So this video ain't about her, but I just had to cite this because this is the person that she was listening to. So this is another reason why she's taking the position that she's taken, right? Because you got this right here. Yep. In the flesh, the Joker, right there. Let's get it.
Recently did a video which was about the battle. Recently did a video. What's good, paintings? So Exoticals United recently did a video which was about the battle for darker skinned exoticals. And I thought it was timely, I thought it was needed, and in all honesty, this video is inspired by that, you know?
Okay, so there you have it. So this whole concept of the dark skin exotical, right? And again, I think that it's a thing, but that's why, or one of the reasons why I came up with the 80% 2x4 rule, because you have people who are of a darker hue. However, they may not still be Black, even though, because just like Indians, right? You got Indians who are of a darker hue, heavily melanated, but they're not Black people. So they're people who have a darker hue and they're not Black. And that's why I told Koley, I said, well, you need to do a DNA test. And maybe she did. And maybe that's the reason why she's taking this position that a lot of people might frame as her being anti-African now. But I don't think it's that. I think that, you know, she was hurt because of the rejection that she got. And, you know, a lot of these movements, if you look at them, whether it's FBA, because you all know that Tyreek was running around talking about how he was Pan-African. He did like 5 or 6 hidden colors, you know, talking basically they were Pan-African movies. The whole ADOS thing, which I followed when it first came out. I don't mean follow in terms of me adhering to it. I was paying attention to it because of the work of Doherty, you know, in the racial wealth gap. And I noticed that Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore, they were talking about that. You know me, you know, I'm into the economics. And I really paid attention to some of the wording that Yvette was saying. She used to use the term descendant of slaves and slave masters. And she was kind of trying to distance herself from the African heritage, while simultaneously she was a Pan-Africanist at one point. But she said, and this came out of her mouth, and some of you people from the beginning will remember this. She said that she went to Africa, you know, during the time that she was Pan-Africanist, and this is Yvette Carnell that I'm speaking of, and y'all all know how she looks, right? And she said that she felt othered, right? Which of course she would, because, you know, if you look at her, she's not the typical person that you will see going around in West Africa. And that sparked in her the idea that somehow, you know, she wasn't fully accepted as Black. And then she later on said that she did a DNA test and she realized that she had a high percentage of European admixture. And to me, a lot of this was born out of that. And that's basically the point I've been making, is that you have a group of people who are, you know, multiracial and all of this, and they've been propagandized into thinking that they're just Black. And then when they get that hard reality, instead of them kind of just taking a more amicable viewpoint, they get hostile, and then they want to create these goofy ass movements to try to denigrate Black people. So again, I might have to make this a you know, kind of a series, because there's a lot of things I'm going to maybe touch on. And again, I don't want this video to be too long, because I think this is an important topic, because there's so many people out here that are confused. And if you listen to this this broadcast that Koley is doing, there's a bunch of Africans and others that are calling there. And I think that their time could be better spent talking among themselves, because whether it be, you know, someone like Koley or anybody else who's just claiming a Caribbean heritage, which is kind of, you know, nebulous. We need to focus on people that are, I wouldn't, because I'm personally not a traditional Pan-Africanist, because I think that you should not try to unify people strictly on skin tone alone. You have to have shared values, shared morality, geopolitical views, socioeconomic views. And Koley and others like her, and for whatever reason, she tends to kind of lean more towards tribalism. But the question is, what is her tribe? Because if she's claiming just Caribbean, then, that's a multiracial type vibe. That has nothing to do with Africans. So I don't know why Africans are even contacting her, trying to convince her that she's African, or whatever the case is. But anyway, I'm going to get into that probably, as I decide to do maybe more of these as time permits. But I want you guys to pay attention to something here, because in these recent videos she's been making, I think they were started by some of the comments, and like I said, some of the trolling that has happened. And this is some of the examples of some of the things that set her off. So let me play this real quick.
This lady has a random question for us, guys, that she just randomly felt like asking in her bedroom at night.
In all my life, I've only seen 2 Jamaican families with parents that are married, and all the kids come from the same parents. Every other Jamaican Caribbean person that I know, they have a blended family. And a blended family where the parents may be married or aren't married, or the parents got married like 20, 30 years later. And I just want to know, like, why is that? And why is it like so popular to not be married, or to like have a few baby fathers or baby mothers? Like, why is that a thing?
I have a question for you.
Now, if you look at her hair texture, because that's why she said that they were talking about her hair. It's because, she has the natural curly. I mean, it looks like a jerry curl that we used to wear back in the 80s, but that's her actual hair. So what a lot of the Africans may not understand is they'll see her because she is of a darker hue. They'll think that she's either East African, which is a heavily miscegenated zone. So you'll see Ethiopians and things like that with that phenotype. Or they'll think that she's, if she is West African, then she's processed her hair or something like that, which is not true. She's actually, this is her real hair and her real features. So like I told her, go ahead and get a DNA test, and you may find that there's a high percentage of non-black admixture. But let's get it.
As a West African lady, what was the motivation to just wake up that day, bonnet and all, to ask this question about baby mothers and baby fathers? Why don't you tell us more about your West African culture? I don't know what country you are from or what your ethnic background is specifically. You haven't made that very clear, but I know for a fact you're West African. So how about you just, educate us on that, and we will continue to mind our business.
Okay, so obviously she's triggered by the fact that this West African woman, and to be sure, people can comment on various, people cross-culturally, but I get her point insofar as if you have a disproportionate amount of people, such as, West Africans or whoever, because that's what some of us talk about, coming from America. You get these people coming over from these various cultures trying to dump on us, and meanwhile, every crumb of their daily bread comes from what we did in terms of helping them bring their ass over there. So she's coming from the British Jamaican standpoint, and how you get these people, and these are individuals. So I want to be very clear. Sometimes this thing is overblown because you're taking what individuals are saying and you're making it as though this is how the collective thinks. And I think that's part of the problem. So you get people like Koley, who's obviously very sensitive and very protective of what she deems as her heritage and her culture. Meanwhile, there's a group of people, whether it be the Chinese, Indians, or whoever, that are literally exploiting her culture, but she doesn't have that same energy. But you'll get a West African troll saying something, and then she creates a whole movement to talk against it. But anyway, let's get a little bit more.
This lady has a random question for us, guys, that she just...
Okay, so here's another video of her getting triggered.
Before this, as I mentioned this to you guys before, this lady who woke up that day and said, I have Jamaicans on my mind. So here's what I'm gonna say.
When I listen to Jamaicans speak, I'm not talking about the English, the British Jamaicans, like that, cuz. I'm talking about the ones from back home. When I hear them speak, their accent, their normal tone, all I hear is pidgin English, bro. That's literally pidgin English. I understand everything they're saying. It just has a little twang to it. And that's fine. We're all cousins at the end of the day.
You seem very upset and aggressive. I think you could just mind your business. I think you have your own culture to focus on and your own language. Jamaicans are not speaking pidgin. I can't understand pidgin. I can't even read pidgin. Jamaican patois has multiple influences, including West African influences, yes, but also Portuguese influences, English influences, Irish influences, Spanish influences. It's a different language. And just because you've heard Jamaican people that are speaking English, it doesn't mean you understand when they're speaking patois. So respectfully, maybe just focus on living out your life and minding your Nigerian business. As I mentioned this.
Okay, so here's where the problem comes into play, right? I'm going to wrap this up soon because, like I said, I'm probably going to break this down into certain episodes because I think this is an important topic, not just because of Koley, but because of this dynamic between the West Africans, Caribbeans, and Black Americans. I'm going to need to educate some people because there's too many people running their mouth and they just don't know what they're talking about. And I got a lot of information on this that is very pertinent and needed. So I just want to point out something real quick because with Koley, what she may not understand, and I agree with her with regard to some of these disrespectful people, whether they be from West Africa or, anywhere. You got Caribbean people that do the same thing to blacks in America and vice versa. But the bottom line is you have to know specifically who you are because there are a lot of Jamaicans who are very proud of their African heritage, and they would not agree with her in terms of this separation. People like Marcus Garvey, for example. They're not going to agree with her to try, to separate Jamaicans from their African heritage. Now, in her case, she may be different insofar as, from a genetic standpoint, she probably has a lot of admixture, and that's why I told her to take a DNA test. And if she really wants to separate herself from the African experience, then she needs to stop just identifying herself as a Jamaican/Caribbean, because the connotation of that is that you're going to be associated with black people, i.e. Africa. So what she needs to do is embrace her multiracial heritage, because that way she can kind of extrapolate herself or extract herself from the larger black diaspora. Because you get a lot of people, I think it's one guy that calls in, I've seen one or two of her live streams, and it was this one guy who was very irritating. I don't know his name, shows you how important he is, but I forget his name, but he's some guy, I think he's from Guyana, not Ghana, but Guyana, and he's claiming that he's some type of, native Indian, and I'm like, then why the hell are you even having a conversation? See, people like that, they need to just go find their space and stop dealing with this dynamic between Africans, whether it be Caribbeans, those of us from America, or West Africa. But anyway, I may touch more on that in the next video. But I'm going to show you guys something that people tend to forget in terms of the history.
High in the misty mountains of Jamaica, beyond the reach of colonial powers, lies a legacy of resilience and freedom, a people who escaped the bonds of slavery and forged their own destiny. The Maroons. Welcome to Black History X. Today, we're uncovering the incredible story of the Maroons of Jamaica. Here are 5 amazing facts that highlight their courage, culture, and enduring legacy. From daring escapes and fierce wars against the British to preserving a rich cultural heritage that thrives even today, the Maroon story is one of defiance and triumph. 1. The Maroons of Jamaica are descendants of Africans who escaped from slavery during the 17th and 18th centuries.
Okay, so when you have people who are trying to create this separation, this artificial separation, they're ignoring this whole history. It was the Maroons. That's the reason why you even have a Jamaica, because the native Indians, the people people always try to claim, just like these FBA clowns who got, those are the people that got wiped out. The people who were fighting and that made it so that many of us are still here today were the Africans. Those were the very people that these idiots keep trying to distance themselves from. That's the reason why, whether it's in Haiti, whether it's in the other parts of the Caribbean, Jamaica, North America, it was the Africans that fought back the hardest and the most and got all the victories. And the Maroons are literally direct descendants of West African, I believe Nigerian to be exact. So when a Nigerian is talking about the connection between them and Jamaica, they're not lying. And there are Jamaicans who are actually of that lineage, and they understand that. Someone like Koley, because of her past experience of feeling othered, now she's trying to wrap herself in the culture of Jamaica. Meanwhile, there are other actual Jamaicans too that would not agree with her, and they love their African heritage. So that's the reason why there needs to be some understanding here. But let me just get a little bit more before I wrap up this video.
The term maroon comes from the Spanish word cimarron, meaning wild or untamed. When the British seized Jamaica from the Spanish in 1655, many enslaved Africans fled into the island's mountainous regions, where they formed independent communities and preserved their African traditions. 2. The Maroons engaged in a prolonged conflict known as the First Maroon War against British colonial forces. Utilizing guerrilla warfare tactics and intimate knowledge of the terrain, they successfully resisted British attempts to subjugate them. The war concluded with a peace treaty in 1739, which granted the Maroons land and a degree of autonomy in exchange for peace.
Now, that's a very powerful achievement that every Jamaican, every black person should be proud of. See, that's why I don't play this game in terms of this cross ethnic divisions, because us as a race, we're pretty much the same people. Those of us who don't have as much admixture as other people. So I feel a sense of pride when I see whether it's the Haitian Revolution or the Maroons, because we all came from the same place. And people who try to create these artificial divisions, they don't even understand the difference between ethnicity, race, and nationality. Jamaica or Jamaican is not an ethnicity. Let me say that again. Jamaica or Jamaican is not an ethnicity. It is a nationality. And if you don't know the difference between ethnicity and nationality, then you need to really tune in to this channel, because I'm going to have to break this down at some point. You guys shouldn't even be having this conversation, because you don't realize that these artificial divisions that you're making are doing nothing but wasting time. Meanwhile, there are other people coming in eating your lunch. As I said, I'm probably going to get into that the next time I approach this topic, on how you got all these different groups, Chinese and, Indians, Europeans, or whoever. I think some Jamaicans just had to burn down a hotel because they didn't even allow Jamaicans to even go there in their own country. But you got people like Koley, they got time to be beefing with West Africans. Meanwhile, in your own homeland, you can't even freaking walk on the beach. You can't even go to a hotel because the Chinese, they're excluding you in your own country. This is ridiculous. But let's get a little bit more of this. And it was the Africans that the only ones that fought back against this stuff. But let's go.
3. The treaties signed between the Maroons and the British in 1739 and 1740 recognized the Maroons as a free people and allotted them significant parcels of land. In return, the Maroons agreed to cease hostilities and to assist the British in capturing future runaway slaves. A condition...
Okay, now, for all you Negroes that sit up there talking about, Africans sold other Africans. Oh, okay, so particularly you Jamaicans, whether it's like you Koley or anybody else. What about the Jamaicans that did that? And just like the FBAs, what about the slave catchers that were African American, FBA? What about the people that are from your own lineage that sold you out? See, you're so busy focusing on what West Africans allegedly did hundreds of years ago, you overlook the ones that are selling you out today. Huh? Look at the I guess he's the prime minister or whatever of Jamaica. He's the one signing all these deals. I think he's multiracial. He's the one letting the Chinese come in, buy up everything. He's not trying to protect the native Jamaicans. And even when you look at the history, yeah, those Maroons, they made a deal, and shout out to them. They still did their bit. They did a good job of getting their freedom, but they negotiated with the British, and I'm sure there was maybe it was more to it than them just helping runaways, get back to the British. It may have been people who were their ops or something. I don't know. But this is the same dynamic. And we could argue as to whether or not, this is something that black people as a whole need to work on. But for all you clowns who always want to refer back to what happened during slavery and you don't even know the history, a lot of the people that are claiming that somehow the Africans sold them into slavery, they themselves may be descendants of some of the people that were selling people, because some of those people were enslaved themselves. And it wasn't as simple as people selling. There were raiding going on. People would come in and raid the villages and people were stolen, right? But I'm going to get into that probably in the next iteration of this. But I just wanted to show
that
this
later
part.
Caused internal and external tensions. 4. The Second Maroon War erupted due to strained relations between the Maroons of Trelawney Town and the British authorities.
Yeah, but anyway, I think that's all I needed of that. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out because a lot of people, they tend to get game goofy and forget that it's a lot more nuanced and complex than what people try to make it. But anyway, like I said, I didn't want this video to go too long. We're under an hour and I got some things to do. But I'm going to put a pin there. I'm going to pause it. But this is a very interesting topic to me. It is very interesting to see Koley kind of reinventing herself. Again, it was kind of surprising because I didn't realize that she had kind of took on this new persona, I guess. So I just wanted to, let it be known that I found out about it. So yeah, we're gonna have to deal with it. I may have to go and dissect some of these live shows that she's doing. As I get time, it may not, I may not be able to get to it until sometime near the end of the summer. Because like I said, I'm moving some things around, doing some business. But at any rate, I'm going to stop it right here. But we're going to end the way we always do. We're not just a broadcast. We're a squadcast. There's a very big difference. Mission complete. Over and out.